If you've been looking for a cheap way to cook after SHTF, something that doesn't require a liquid fuel that will eventually run out, something that only needs small tree branches and whatever other type of dried stuff that you can find around you, then you'll want to watch this video right after the channel intro. Welcome to this community. I'm an avid prepper, an oath keeper, and I'm certified to teach firearms and the use of deadly force. If you want to learn actual prepping skills and how to protect yourself legally, then please subscribe and also click the bell icon so you won't miss whenever a video is released. Okay, so in my preparedness journey, one of the things that I had been trying to do was to make sure I had multiple ways to cook or heat food after SHTF. And one of the things that I wanted was a small stove, something that you could take with you if you suddenly had to bug out. And not one of those small stoves that takes one of those little liquid fuel canisters. Because a concern of mine is that once SHTF hits and once the store shelves have been emptied, then you won't be able to get more of those liquid fuel canisters once your stockpile runs out. Also, do you want to have to stockpile something when you can just collect the equivalent of it for free around you? So I wanted something that was fairly cheap and that you would be able to burn small branches or leaves that you can collect from around you, and something that still seemed halfway sturdy and wouldn't be too quick to break on you. And something that I found is this CanWay brand camping stove for about $20. It comes in this little carrying bag that I guess you can call it. And as you can see, it's pretty small and it only weighs a little bit over a pound, so it's pretty light, so it would be easily fit into your bug out bag should you had to evacuate. The company says it's made out of high quality stainless steel, so it should last for a while. And it's got a 4.5 out of 5-star rating on Amazon, so people seem to be pretty happy with it. And as you can see, it fits together pretty quickly, and the 3 arms fold out pretty quickly and gives you a pretty stable cooking platform. And I really like how it has this opening on the side just below the foldable arms that allows you to add more twigs to keep the fire going without having to remove your pot to feed the fire. Now if you want to check this little stove out, and I'm not telling you that you need to buy it if you want or don't buy it, but if you want to check it out for yourself, I'll be putting a link to it down below in the description box below this video. So let's just see how well it works. First I'm going to get the fire going by lighting some dryer lint. And it was a windy day, and also please excuse my clumsiness. Now I'm just going to add some dried leaves to it. And now I'm just going to add some dried twigs and more leaves to it to really get it producing some heat. And now I'm going to add the top back to it to show you how well it will hold a small pot. And like I mentioned before, I really like how it has this opening where you can keep feeding sticks into it without having to pick up your pot. I also like how it has a secondary combustion system, which you may be able to make out in this video, where some of the flames are jumping out of those ports towards the top. And really quick before we continue on, a link to an anonymous poll should be appearing in the upper right hand corner of the screen just about now. And hey, please go and take that poll and let's see how we, as a prepping community, plan to cook after SHTF. Have you secured a way to cook after SHTF yet? And will you be cooking over an open fire pit, or on a wood burning stove, or a camping stove or rocket stove? And just for the record, I will be choosing the option of other. Comment below because YouTube doesn't allow me to give more than 5 options to put into a poll. But I have the option to cook with this little camping stove, also a kick butt rocket stove, a sun oven, and also an open fire pit. But I think this CanWay camping stove works pretty darn good, so let's put it back together and let's see how well it actually does with boiling something. Now one thing I noticed is that it seems that the flames would die down pretty quick on me, so I would have to feed new sticks into it every few minutes. And in defense of the stove, I was using pretty skinny pieces of sticks. Maybe if I had put thicker pieces of wood in there, maybe it would have burned a little bit longer. And just to test it out, I decided to cook up a few items that many preppers can grow on their own. So I added some cut up potatoes to the water, and also some purple basil. And when filming this video, I wasn't actually making myself a meal because I was on a time constraint. I just wanted to show it actually working. And one thing I wanted to point out is that it was a really hot day outside when I originally filmed this. So the fact that you see steam coming from the water means that the water is getting pretty hot. And if I wouldn't have had to leave and stop filming, I'm sure I could have got it to a full boil after a few more minutes of using it. Now, here are the downsides. Obviously, this thing isn't going to do as good as a larger and more expensive rocket stove or something like that. But I think for $20 you're getting a pretty decent option for cooking when the electricity or the gas gets shut off in a grid down situation. And I may have been using it wrong, but it did seem to me that every couple of minutes I'd have to feed more sticks and twigs into it to keep the fire going. But then again, this thing takes small twigs and not fire logs. And while I'm pretty certain that I could make a pretty decent batch of homemade soup or stew where you'd have to cook raw vegetables until they were soft, you would just have to collect up a pretty decent pile of sticks and twigs beforehand to do it. So I think this little camp stove is probably better suited for heating up cans of food or bringing water to a boil or something like that. But on a side note, if you're bugging out, I don't think many people will be carrying food that's going to require thoroughly cooking in their bug out bags. But I think that if you lived in the city and needed to bring water to a boil to cook rice or heat up canned foods or ramen noodles or something like that, this should work fine if you don't have to worry about hungry neighbors smelling the fire from it or smelling your food being heated up. And also, please comment below so that we all learn from each other. What inexpensive yet reliable and totally off-grid way do you think will be best to cook after SHTF? Do you have a favorite little camping stove or other method of cooking that's cheap and that you love? If so, please comment below on just how do you plan to cook after SHTF. Anyways, I just wanted to show you this option because it's pretty cheap and it appears that it will hold up well and will work pretty good. And if you'd like to learn a super simple and super cheap way that you can do laundry off-grid, then click on the video that should be appearing in the upper right-hand corner of the screen just about now, because if you've never tested out how you'll do laundry after SHTF, this video may have a few actual surprises for you. And after SHTF, eventually your canned goods are going to run out and eventually you're going to also tire of your rice and beans. And you're also going to want to add some badly needed nutrients to your diet so you can have strength and the ability to fight off illnesses. So to see a video on how you can be more self-reliant and how you can add variety to your foods and how you can do this even if you live in a small apartment or home, then click on the video that should be appearing on the right side of the screen about now. Anyways folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching and I pray that you have a good night.